Hi, everybody. This is Andrea of Autoimmune Strong. I'm coming to you after a really fun but exhausting weekend. So I lost my voice a little bit. So I apologize. But I am going to talk about some really exciting stuff today. So if you can forgive the funky voice and the tired appearance, you will get some really good information. Today we are going to talk about how to tell if a flare-up is exercise-induced or not. And this was a specific subject that one of the Autoimmune Strong members asked me to speak about, and so it's a really good topic. So I'm excited to be here talking to you about this today. And it actually relates to the fact that I had a busy weekend and now I'm exhausted. So I'm going to loop you guys into all of that in just a second. First, I want to talk about Facebook Live rules and the way it works. I love knowing that you're here watching. So first and foremost, tell me hi. Let me know you're here. Tell me your story. Ask me questions. If I'm talking about something that relates to your experience, please talk about it, because that helps me figure out what kind of information you need that I'm not talking about already. And so I can, give you more information on the spot. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to educate you about stuff that you need to know when it comes to exercise and autoimmune disease. So hello, and please don't hesitate to type in your questions, comments. Let's make this interactive as much as possible. It's kind of Facebook Live. I say this, I think, every week. It's always a weird thing to me that you guys can see me and I can't see you. So I like to know that you're here. So yeah, talk to me. Tell me what's going on in your life as I get going on these topics. That said, I'm going to dive right in. We're going to talk. Thank you, Heather. Hi. Thanks for watching. Just makes me feel so much more comfortable to know that you guys are out there. Anyways, we're going to talk about, let's dive into it, about how do you know if the flare that you're experiencing is exercise-induced or not. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Anne. I'm glad to see you guys back. The short answer is that it's really difficult to know if your flare is exercise-induced or not. I know from all the people, hi Lori, that are saying hi, I know that you guys have been here for a lot of my Facebook Lives and a lot of you are members. So you do know about what exercise intolerance is, what stress is, and how it relates to exercise and autoimmune disease. I'm just going to go over it quickly, and if you want more information on these topics, I have other Facebook Lives that I've done where I've really gone into these topics in detail. There's also some blogs on my website, so you can get more information on these topics there. But they relate to how we figure out if an or if a flare-up is exercise-induced or not. So I want to do like a quick refresher here. Bottom line is, many people don't know about exercise intolerance. Exercise intolerance is not something that is often talked about. It's not something that your doctors will necessarily tell you about, and it's not something that most people with autoimmune conditions know it even exists. I did not know that exercise intolerance existed, was a thing when I was first diagnosed. I only figured it out because I saw some patterns, and I'll go into that in a minute. Did you guys know about exercise-induced symptom flare-ups or exercise intolerance before you heard about Autoimmune Strong? Let me know. So, an exercise intolerance, what is exercise intolerance? Basically, exercise intolerance relates to stress. So, in our lives, we're human. We have stress. We have emotional stress. We have childhood issues that cause stress in our adult lives. We have day-to-day stress of getting to the market or picking up our kids at school, or relationship issues, or anything like that. We have physical stress. We get sick. We have the flu. We have a cold. We have, a variety of different things that can impact us on a physical level. Perhaps we live in a house with mold. That puts stress on our bodies. We also have so physical, emotional, environmental. Those are kind of like the big three stressors. And lots of different things can fall under those stressors. Hi, Anna. So the reason I'm talking about stress is because when we have autoimmune conditions, we are less stress tolerant because our autoimmune conditions are already putting stress on our bodies. Like even when we're sleeping, even when we're at rest, our bodies are constantly under attack because our immune system is mistaking something in our bodies as being a foreign invader, and so we're always under attack. What I mean by foreign invader is when we have the flu, our immune systems get active and attack the flu, and that's what eradicates the flu. That's what keeps us healthy. Autoimmune disease is the opposite, so I'll use Hashimoto's as an example because I have it. What it means is that my immune system thinks that my thyroid is the flu. My immune system thinks that the thyroid is something that shouldn't be there. And so since it's a permanent part of my body, my immune system is always going to be attacking my thyroid. So that's physical stress. That raises my physical stress always, right? No matter how remiss I am, I still have, or how much in remission my autoimmune disease is, I still have this baseline of stress that my body has to tolerate. Now, obviously, if your autoimmune condition is more aggravated, that means you have more stress on your body. For me, I've gotten my autoimmune stuff really under control, so I consider myself mostly to be in remission, although I do have some setbacks. That still means my body's under stress, but it's just under less stress. So what does that have to do with exercise and exercise intolerance? And I'm hearing from a lot of you saying that exercise, that you didn't know about exercise intolerance. And so what I'm talking about probably doesn't make sense yet. But the way it works is that we've got our baseline of stress, and then we've got our body, and then we've got this additional stress that is put on our bodies because of autoimmune disease. Then we've got the addition of stress from our daily lives. All of that puts us at risk of flare-up, because the higher our stress, the more aggravated our immune system is going to be, and that means our autoimmune conditions are going to be more aggravated. Well, exercise is another form of stress. It's a form of physical stress. And so that stress gets added on top of all of this other stress that I'm talking about. So our bodies and our immune systems can only handle so much stress. So you pile more and more and more and more stress on top, and it can cause a flare-up. Now, sometimes those flare-ups are exercise-induced, and sometimes they're not. And that's where it gets tricky about how to distinguish one from the other. But the reason I'm talking about stress, and the reason I'm starting from this place of stress, is that regardless of whether or not your flare-up is coming from exercise or not, it is coming from a place of stress. Stress is causing your body to be overwhelmed or overtaxed, and it will cause a flare-up. Now, let me explain what I mean by a flare-up, okay? Because a flare-up looks different for different people. For some people, it just means like straight up exhaustion. For other people, it means like soreness in their bodies. For other people, it can be flu-like symptoms. For me, that tends to be how my flare-ups look like, is I always think I'm getting sick. I sort of assume that my kids have brought something home and then I'm getting sick. But usually it actually is a flare-up. I'm sorry, the light, like I'm sitting by this beautiful window looking out at the trees, but the light is so weird. So I hope you guys can see me. Is what I'm talking about making sense so far? To you guys, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep giving you different examples, but I hope that what I'm starting to talk about is starting to make some sense to you. So when you have these flare-ups, and for some people you can have nausea with flare-ups, even vomiting. I know that when I have flare-ups, like I can't get out of bed. My flare-ups can get really bad, and like I can be in bed for a whole week. Like can't even email people back. I mean, just done. Oh, weather. Oh my gosh, Erin, thank you. You were talking about a cold, I'm feeling sick cold, but it made me think like weather can also cause a flare-up. If your immune system can't tolerate either the humidity or the cold temperatures, that can cause a flare-up, because all of those things cause stress, right? They stress our bodies out more than we can handle. So the basic instruction of how to tell whether or not your flare-up is exercise-induced or induced by something else takes a couple steps. The first thing is to be able to distinguish if what you're experiencing is a flare-up or if it's something else. Anne is saying that she gets the exhaustion flare-ups. Erin is saying it looks like a cold, but it actually is a flare-up. So these things can just look like regular old things, like, oh, I'm just really tired today, or oh, I have a cold. The first step is figuring out that this is a flare-up rather than just a simple cold, right? My sore throat, the fact that I've got this hoarse sore throat, the fact that I was too tired to put on makeup to talk to you guys, and that's why I look tired. I had a really busy, fun weekend, but I went out of town. I stayed up late. I didn't really exercise because I didn't have the time or space to do it. I drank some alcohol, which I don't normally do. All of those things take me out of my very basic routine, of my self-care routine, and added stress on my body. So I think that what I'm experiencing right now is a teeny, teeny, tiny little flare-up, and that's my body's way of saying, cut it. You've done too much. You're tired. You need to recover, right? Our body gives us these little clues, and I know that if I don't listen to it, I'm going to get worse rather than better. The flare-up's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So the first step is to look at what you're dealing with and say, well, is this a flare-up or is this not? Because honestly, it would be so easy for me to wake up this morning and be like, oh, I have a sore throat. Well, it's freezing out, so maybe my sore throat is from that. Or, who knows? But I'm looking carefully at what I did this weekend and the choices I made this weekend, and I'm being honest with myself, which is that my flare-ups are probably coming from the fact that I increased my stress. Even though it was happy stress, I increased the stress load on my body, and now I'm dealing with that, with the side effects of that. So that it leads me into my second step, is that you really have to be honest with yourself when you're looking at a flare-up, and you're being honest with yourself about the choices that you made. So I'm hearing from a lot of people here. Anne was saying, for example, it's really hard for her to acknowledge that she has exercise intolerance because she loves exercise so much and she doesn't want to have to scale back. And I totally get that as a person who is quote unquote an over-exerciser, and I tend to veer towards the over-exercise rather than the under-exercise. I have a hard time backing off on my exercise, just like you, Anne. I totally get it. It's not easy. But if you're not feeling good, you have to give that a really hard look and say, I'm not feeling good. Did I over-exercise this weekend? And sometimes it's not that you over-exercised. Perhaps you did the exact same exercise routine that you did last week or that you did the week before. But perhaps the stress in your life has raised. Perhaps your kid was sick and you were up all night taking care of them. Or perhaps, the weather changed and you've been having trouble your body's having trouble dealing with the weather. Whatever it is, like perhaps something else in your life, the stress has increased. Well, if you do the same amount of exercise as you did before when your stress was lower, you're still going to have too much stress on your system altogether. And that could put you into an exercise-induced symptom flare-up. Is this making sense? Is this resonating to people? Let me know if I'm explaining this well, because if I'm not, this is like super important, but it's also really hard to explain and really individualized, because there's not a one-size-fits-all explanation of like, you do X, you have an exercise-induced symptom flare-up, so therefore don't do X and then you won't have this flare-up. Like, it's not that simple, because we all have different histories, we all have different autoimmune diseases, we all have different amounts of stress in our daily lives, and it's not just that we're different from each other, but we're also different from ourselves every day, every week, every month, because our stress levels are constantly fluctuating. They're constantly fluctuating. What I could handle last week, I don't think I could handle this week, because I went and had this really fun weekend where I saw friends I haven't seen in a year. It was really nourishing from so many perspectives, but also depleting all in one. And this is the thing about living with autoimmune disease, is that we can't stop living our lives. We can't not do the fun things. But we also have to be respectful of our bodies and know that sometimes the things we want to do are not always the best for us. And so we have to back off something else in order to make sure that our stress levels stay at homeostasis. Homeostasis is actually what we're trying to achieve here. The definition of homeostasis is when your body is in balance. Such a vague definition, right? Like, how do I know when my body's in balance? How do you know when your body's in balance? How can I tell you when your body's in balance? I'm supposed to be the expert here, right? There's no right answer, and there's no like big sign that, oh, I'm in balance today. I've achieved homeostasis. It's so much trickier than that. But that's our goal. Our goal is to get to this point of homeostasis where our body is in balance, where our stress levels are low enough that we can tolerate, we have room to tolerate fluctuations in stress in the rest of our life, right? So that, you guys have all been writing about all the different types of flares that you're getting, like achy and fluish. Some of you are getting pain and exhaustion. That's the sign that you're not in balance. That's the sign that you are out of balance, or that you're overtaxed or overworked or overstressed. This is the thing, is that our bodies can't speak to us. Our bodies and our brains are often disconnected. Our brains go, we can do more, we have to do more, because we've got all these responsibilities in life. We've got shit to do, right? If we're being honest, like, we can't just give up on everything, and some of it is responsibility, and some of it is work, and some of it is family, and some of it is stuff that stresses us out, but some of it is stuff that we really enjoy as well. All of that matters. We can't just stop doing those things. But when we do too much of those things, our bodies talk to us. And so our brain is here saying, like, okay, you can do, you have to do this today, or you have to do your workout today. And then your body's going like, but I don't feel so good. Hey, over here, I'm not ready to do all these things. And so that's where the achy, the fluish, the exhaustion, all of that comes to play, because our bodies have to communicate with us somehow. It's the only way for us to know that we need to back off, that we're doing too much. And if we ignore those signals, which we do, right? How many of you ignore those signals when they're small? Like I was saying, today I'm not feeling my best, but I'm certainly not in a place of like a really bad flare-up. I'm just feeling a little drained. Well, old me would have been like, it doesn't matter, just keep pushing. Like, go to do your exercises, go out with my friends tonight or whatever, like whatever it is that I used to do. Now the new me is like, okay, I chose to have this really fun weekend, and now I can't do everything. Like, I do want to go and have like a really hard workout today, but I can't. My stress tolerance is not going, I'm not going to manage it, and my body is just going to get worse. So even though my brain is saying like, I really want to, my body's not going to do it. And I'm trying to replenish. I'm drinking water, I'm eating healthy foods, I'm foam rolling, and the workout will come later when I'm ready. Or, you know, the other things that will come when I'm ready. Like last night, I had so much work to do, and normally I work on Sunday nights, but I was so tired. And so I made the choice to go to bed instead. Like, we just can't do all the things. So you have to make decisions. You have to make really smart decisions about what things you're going to choose to do. We can't do all the things at all times. And we want to. I know we want to. I want to. You want to. But, like, we have to. Yeah, Erin, I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do today. But, yeah, I think definitely foam roll. And that might just be it. I haven't fully made a decision because I don't have time to work out anyways until the end of the day. So I'm going to kind of see where I am and how I feel. But yes, for today, I think foam rolling, and that's it, probably will be the right choice for me, going to bed early. And then if I feel good tomorrow, then I can do more, right? These are choices we have to make. So I know I'm getting a little off topic because I'm trying to educate you guys on like how to make choices that help you distinguish between a regular flare and an exercise-induced symptoms flare. So I'll get back to that in a minute. Oh, Erin, I wasn't concerned that you were judging. It was a good question. I was like, I don't actually know what I'm going to do today. I hadn't thought about it. Erin's asking a good question, you guys, of like, I never know what to do when I'm in a flare. And that's a really good question. And again, it's another one of those things where it's a hard thing to give you an answer, but I will tell you, because everybody's flare-ups look different and everybody's bodies are different. But my basic rules of thumb when you're having a flare are water, foam roll, magnesium, like a magnesium bath. For some people, magnesium doesn't help them, so that's not always good for everybody. But I find that the majority of people do enjoy a magnesium bath. Rest and avoiding sugar. And that's kind of the biggest one during the flare, because when we're under so much stress that we're in a flare, like when we're having such a big stress overload and our bodies go into flare, we are exhausted. Most of you are saying that no matter what your other symptoms look like, that exhaustion is definitely a thing when you're in a flare. When you're exhausted, completely depleted like that, the first thing your body's going to want is sugar, because you don't have any extra adrenaline or cortisol or any of those stress hormones to kick in to help you get through your day and overcome this exhaustion. Your body's overtaxed, it's overworked. It doesn't have any of those stress hormones to pump out anymore. So if it can't make them, it's got to get some energy somehow. And sugar is the fastest form of energy. So your body's going to immediately start craving sugar and say, this is what I need to get me through the day. And this, I talk a lot about listening to your body, and this is one of the things where I will tell you to kind of ignore your body. Your body's talking to you. It's saying like, oh, I really need this sugar. And so I'm not telling you to ignore the cue. The cue of I really need this sugar intake is telling you that you are under too much stress, you are too exhausted, and that your body is looking for some outside recovery, and it's asking for sugar. The part I'm telling you to ignore is the actual use of sugar. Give your body rest and relaxation and recovery time in a different way, because the sugar is like, it just perpetuates the cycle. It perpetuates the cycle of, I'm depleted, therefore I'm going to look for outside sources to give me some energy that's not real energy, and then it's going to deplete you even more. So it's going to like dig you more and more into a hole. So it's your body's way of saying you're depleted, but you need to make sure that you are recovering in a proper way, rather than in a way that is going to put you over the edge. Does that make sense? So anyways, in times of flare, rest, recovery, saying no to things that you normally would say yes to. I have a million errands that need to get done today, and my brain is like, they have to get done. But really, can they wait till tomorrow? Probably. So if my dishes don't get done, yeah, my kitchen's a mess. I'm okay with that, because I need to take the time to replenish myself. I'll get to the dishes. They'll get done. Or if you happen to have a partner in life, or like kids or people around, ask for help during a flare. That's the other key, is that we don't often like to obligate the people in our lives. We are often the people doing the caring of others. We are caring for others, so we don't like to obligate and ask for help. But seriously, in times like this, if you ask for help and get a little bit of help, it'll stop you from your flare-up getting worse, where you're going to need a lot of help. So asking for help. And like, a lot of people have told me that their spouses don't really understand the flare-ups, or they think that you're just being lazy or whiny or complainy. And there was a period of time where my husband felt the same way. But I educated him. And so for those of you, if your spouses are feeling that way and they don't understand what an actual flare-up is, or that it's a thing, have them watch this Facebook Live. Have them watch other Facebook Lives. Have them read the comments on my Facebook page where people are talking about their experiences during flare-ups. Have them follow Autoimmune Strong. They'll start to understand that it's not you. It's not something that it's not that you can't handle. It's that your body is dealing with illness and you need help. So we have to educate them, right? As we're educating ourselves, we have to also educate the people around us. And it's cool, because now that I've educated my husband, there are times where last night I said to him, I have so many emails to answer. And he was like, does it have to be done tonight, or can you go to bed? And I looked at him and I was like, you know what? I can do it in the morning. I can go to bed. And I did. And I probably wouldn't have if he hadn't asked that question. So the people in our lives can be a really big help in times of flare. So yeah, Floyd, herbal tea is okay. Yeah. Whichever way, as long as it makes you feel good. Some people don't react well to herbal tea. Most people are fine with it. So as long as it makes your body feel good, yeah. I often feel, especially in times of cold, that I want hot tea too, because I don't like drinking cold water. It doesn't digest for me very well in cold weather. That said. All right, so I've talked a lot about a lot of different things stemming from the point of how do you tell the difference between an exercise-induced symptom flare-up and an other symptom flare-up. Basically what I'm saying here is it kind of doesn't matter, because it means that your body's stress load is too much. So the first step is to figure out where your stress is coming from. If that additional stress is coming from doing too much exercise, then the first thing is to back off. I know that's hard. Especially, I know a lot of people have different ways of relating to exercise. Perhaps you use exercise as, a method of maintaining your weight, or at least that's what you tell yourself. Perhaps you use it as a method of managing stress. At least you tell yourself that. For me, I did both of those for many years. I would say I can't skip my exercise because, I might gain 5 pounds, or I might not be able to handle the stress of my day. What I've learned is that exercise is not a method of managing anything except for how well your muscles work, right? And how well your heart works. Obviously, I believe that exercise is important. It's like the cornerstone of what I'm teaching about. But I don't buy into this whole idea that you have to exercise to maintain weight, or that you have to exercise to manage stress. There are other ways to do those things. And exercise should really be used to keep your body strong, keep it moving in a healthy way. This sounds really silly, but I was in a rush. My car was on. I was late to pick up my kids. I realized I forgot my phone inside, and I had already closed the garage door. So I opened the garage door, but I didn't want to wait for it to open up all the way. And so I squatted down really low and ducked under the garage so I could move more quickly. And then I looked at myself and I was like, oh my God, I was just capable of getting down into a super deep squat and then running right after that. That's the kind of thing that exercise does. It allows us to maintain flexibility and mobility, and to open pickle jars, and to being able to reach up high without throwing our back out, or to be able to lift something without throwing our back out, or that's what exercise is for. It's not for managing all these other things. Okay, that was my soapbox. I'll get off it now. But back to the exercise-induced symptom flare-up. How do you know? So say you've determined that you think your flare-up came from exercise, right? How do you determine what to do next? The thing you need to do is, I typically recommend that if you're in a flare, back way off, so you give your body time to recover. Some people may not want to do that, but that's what I encourage. Foam rolling is really good. Abdominal bracing, doing a little bit, or just doing some movements. The other day, I was in my living room, and I was just kind of doing things that felt good. I was just kind of swinging my arms and wiggling my hips and moving my neck, and it wasn't exercise, but it felt good. And that was exercise, right? That was what my body was asking for. I felt good just kind of moving around. The goal is for you to find your baseline of how much exercise you can handle without having a flare-up. So I've talked about this in other Facebook Lives. I tend to give a recommendation of take what you think you can do in terms of exercise without flare-up, and I recommend quartering it. Literally saying, okay, maybe I can run 3 miles without a flare-up. Well, cut that in a quarter or in a third. Run a mile. And those of you watching are probably going to be like, but that's not what I think I can do. It's not enough. It doesn't matter, because you can build back up to it. What matters is that you start at that mile. You do that mile for a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. If you can do that consistently with no flare-up, that means that your body can handle that, which then means you can build on that. So maybe for the next 2 to 3 weeks, you add a little bit more. Maybe you do 1.5 miles. And if you can do that without having a flare-up, then you can add a little bit more. If you have a flare-up, it's indicated to you that you've gone too far, you've done too much, you need to back off more. Gotta listen to your body. And you have to listen really, really carefully, because the indications that you're going to have a flare-up are they're there long before you actually do have the flare-up. So if you're really in tune, you'll see it coming, right? So again, like, we tend to want to push ourselves. Well, there's two kinds of people. There are the people who like to push ourselves, and there are people who are nervous about pushing, who have had too many exercise-induced symptom flare-ups before, and who are scared to get started. Actually, Autoimmune Strong is perfect for both groups of people, honestly. It's a great place because it's self-paced. For those of you that don't know, Autoimmune Strong is not just a place on Facebook where I educate about exercise and autoimmune disease, but I also offer a monthly subscription program where I teach exercise. Like, it's an exercise program where you can learn how to exercise in a way that is designed for people with autoimmune disease. I know a lot of people who are on this Facebook Live are already members, and that's awesome. And I was just on the private Autoimmune Strong Facebook page, and I was hearing all these different members talking about how much they've improved. There was one member who said she's been able to walk barefoot for the first time in 20 years without pain. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that this program works so well for her. So Autoimmune Strong is designed to help you overcome exercise intolerance, to help you gain that strength and mobility, regardless of whether or not you're an over-exerciser or an under-exerciser. So for those of you who don't know about that program, go to my website, www.getautoimmunestrong.com, and check it out. I think you will really like it. It's been working so well for so many people, and people with like a variety of different autoimmune diseases. There's so many different kinds of autoimmune diseases that this program can work for. So I don't know. I'm nearing towards the end of my little lecture here. Do you guys have questions that you want to ask about any of the things I've talked about? Do you want to share any of your experience? Anne is saying that she said, I feel like people who don't have this illness still don't understand, though, unless they have it too. Well, and unfortunately, that's true, because it's an invisible illness that we have. It's not like there's a skin lesion. Although, well, I guess for people with psoriasis, it's not always invisible, but for many of us, it's invisible. And so it's our job to educate the people around us. And I know that that sucks. Some people will never get it. But that's not everybody, you know? Like, the people in my life understand. They don't necessarily, like, they might roll their eyes and be like, oh, Andrea's not feeling good again today. But they understand that this happens to me, and they help me to deal with it. So you just have to stay strong and know that you are dealing with it the best that you can, and don't let those people make you feel bad about how you're living your life. Or if you say you need rest, take the rest and don't let them make you feel bad about it. Doesn't sound like there are any questions. I hope that this has been really educational. I hope you've enjoyed it. I always love talking to you. If there are topics, like last Facebook Live, somebody emailed me and said, hey, can you talk about how to tell exercise-induced symptom flare-ups versus other flare-ups? And so that was how I came about this topic. If you guys have a topic that you want to hear about, email me. You can post it in the comments of this Facebook Live, or you can private message me, however you want to do it. But get in touch with me. Tell me what you want to hear about, and I'll talk to you about it, because I'm here doing Facebook Lives every Monday at noon, unless there's something else going on. Like last week, I canceled it because my kids were on vacation. So check back to the Facebook page. I always give updates on what topic I'm speaking about. Sorry, I'm reading Diane's comment, who's saying that this is great information. Welcome, Diane. She's saying it's her first time dropping into a Facebook Live. I'm so glad you came. That makes me so happy. Diane is saying she's had fibromyalgia for nearly 40 years. She does walking and biking daily, but she knows when to slow it down. Fibro is tricky, and it sounds like, I mean, I have fibro too, so I get it. It sounds like you have a really good idea of how to manage your fibro, so way to go. And I'm always here as a resource if if you have questions. That's what I'm here for. Thank you guys all for attending. Come back next week, and I also send out a ton of information, not just about the Autoimmune Strong program, but also education about exercise and autoimmune disease. I do that through my mailing list. So if you guys are not on the Autoimmune Strong mailing list, go to my website, www.getautoimmunestrong.com. Join the mailing list. There's like a ton of information that only the people on my mailing list get. And I'll post a link to that in the comments here as well. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.